In this video, I want to introduce you to the concept of contextualization, which is a very fancy sounding word that is actually pretty easy, but we cannot neglect it. So let me first define it for you, and then I'll give you some examples, and then we'll practice how to do it. So the definition is providing relevant context. Well, it's contextualization. So we're going to provide relevant context within the prompt to help to guide the model's understanding and generate more accurate responses. This is no different than if you were telling somebody a story. I went to the store. Where were you? What time was it? What did you want to get? Food, clothing. You need context. Contextual cues can include background information, examples, or constraints. This is kind of the fancy definition. So to help you understand it better, let me give you an example of a prompt that has no context. If I want to edit my resume and I just write into the ChatGPT prompt saying, fix my resume, it will do that according to what it thinks is best, but that might not be consistent with what your needs are. So the kinds of context that you might enter might be, if it's a resume, what country are you looking for jobs in? The hiring culture may be very different from country to country. Salaries may be different from country to country. How the job is named and phrased is often different from country to country. And so if you tell ChatGPT what country you're in, you'll give it context and it will use the right terminology and the right cultural references when they are necessary and applicable. Now, also, what are you looking for out of that resume? A raise and an increase in the job title, or to stay in the same role? Obviously, if you give that context to ChatGPT, if you're looking to increase your responsibility and get a promotion, it will maybe write more aspirational, go-getter resume. Whereas if you give it the context that you want to stay in the same role, ChatGPT might write your resume and fix your resume, but with the details about how good you are at your current role. So the emphasis might change depending on the context you give it. And another example that I want to show you is industry. Are you focusing on a specific industry? Let's say you're in the construction industry. The examples in your resume would focus more on construction rather than being generic. But of course, if you don't care about the industry, more generic examples or more of a variety of examples would make the resume better. So you see, the more context you give it and the less you leave to chance, the more likely ChatGPT will give you the kind of output that would satisfy your needs. So now that we've defined contextualization and then went over some examples, for your next video, I want to give you an exercise. And your exercise is going to be to take the same example, fixing up a resume, but come up with 5 additional contexts that you might give ChatGPT to help it create a good resume for specific needs of a person. So here I gave you 3 examples: the context of country, the context of industry, and the context of you want a raise or promotion or not. But there can be many other details about a job. So try to find 5 more types of context you might give ChatGPT for the example of fixing up a resume. And in the next video, I'm going to give you my answers and you can compare your answers to mine. So try this now as an exercise. And in the next video, I'm going to show you my answers. In this video, I'm going to give you the answer to the exercise I gave you in the previous video. And the exercise was to find 5 contextualization parameters or points that you would provide ChatGPT in a prompt if you were to ask it to fix a resume. And what you might have done is you might have tried to come up with them on your own by thinking, which is fantastic. You should always do that. But what would be also extra credit is if you supplemented that with asking ChatGPT, because who knows better what to ask ChatGPT than ChatGPT? Sometimes actually it's you, but very often ChatGPT knows a lot as well. And what you should aim for is a very strong partnership or a collaboration where, yes, you're working as a human very hard, but understand that you have blind spots. There are things you can't think of. This is where asking ChatGPT can really help to augment and fill in the blanks or blind spots that a human might have. So I asked ChatGPT, if I want to create a ChatGPT prompt asking to fix my resume, can you give me 20 contextualization points that might be relevant for writing a resume? And there it is. Industry, job title, experience level, key skills, work history. These are all things you can add to your ChatGPT prompt and ask it to put more or less focus on any of these, because let's say you found soft skills, that you have really strong soft skills, and it's true about your particular background as an employee, and you want to emphasize that, then you would tell ChatGPT, emphasize my soft skills, tell it what soft skills to use. It gives you some examples: communication, leadership, and teamwork, but you might have a number of other soft skills like time management, and you would want to bring that forward so that the hiring manager can see that. And so that will be one of the pieces of context you would give ChatGPT. You can give it nearly unlimited pieces of context, but most of the time for low to moderately complex queries, we don't really give it an unlimited amount of context, but we give it enough context of the important things, ask it to do the work, read what it does, and after we've read it, we evaluate, was this great, was it not? If it's not, you ask it which parts to improve in certain ways. But this is essentially how you would use contextualization to give specificity to your ChatGPT queries to ensure that you get out of it what you need.